Hey, this is Lynn. Today is weigh-in Monday, and is it 43 weeks now? I think it's 43 weeks that I finished of the carnivore diet. And so I'm here to give an update on how things have been going and share my weigh-in results from my weigh-in this morning. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. And it was a good week. I've been back for more than a full week now from Texas. I was dealing with that crazy boil that wasn't allowing me to exercise. That is basically gone. I mean, there's a tiny itty bitty little microscopic little part of it left. Still applying that yarrow oil, essential oil, taking some Epsom salts baths here and there with some tea tree oil in it, and just kind of doing the final touches on trying to get that thing completely gone. But it's doing really well. It's not preventing me from doing anything at this point. I'm back to doing rebounding. Oh, are you filming me?
Not filming.
Look.
We don't do film anymore.
Look, I can get off the ground.
More of a digital.
Yesterday, Dave and I went for a walk, and we went to find a geocache. We have a really nice regional park, like at the end of our street. And then across the kind of the main street in our neighborhood, and it's really beautiful. And there are several geocaches there, and a new one popped up from the other day. And so there's only, I think, 3 people had found it. So we went to go look for it. Had a really hard time finding it, and so on our walk, we're going geocaching. We're having a lot of trouble finding this cache. There's this big, huge tree, and I've been around it 3 times at least, looking at all the crooks and crevices. Dave has too. We looked all in and around this log. Did you look at that tree stump over there, hun?
I did.
Yeah? It's got to be here somewhere. I mean, obviously it's here somewhere. Someone found it earlier today. But no luck so far. Well, I guess I'll come back if we find it. This other couple showed up, and they were like from the next city down, and they joined in the search, and they were having trouble finding it too. And so finally the woman actually found it. We were about to give up, and all of a sudden I hear, "I found it!" And it's like, voila, oh my gosh. And it's like, seriously, it was like, I should have found it. Literally, it wasn't that difficult. But it's like, sometimes when you're looking for these geocaches, they give you like right in front of your face and you miss it. Especially if you don't know what you're looking for, which the vast majority of cases you don't. I mean, you get a little hint about the size of it. But like I said, it was small. But I found that in the geocaching world, small can mean anything from a little tiny bison tube to like a Tupperware container. So never know what you're looking for. But anyways, we had a good time. I did quite a bit of walking, and I even jogged a little bit. Now, Dave took video. If I'm brave enough, I'll show it. I look at my, don't ask me to look at myself from the back. Seriously, I don't want to look at myself from the back. It's not a pretty sight. Anyways, but yeah, I usually do embarrass myself, so I'll probably put the video.
Look at you go.
Anyways, it was fun. We had a good time. Saturday was my daughter's bridal shower, which was really nice. And there was a lot of people that hadn't seen me for quite a while. And I got, like, wow, some of this. In fact, one of her bridesmaids was like, had seen me for a really long time. And she was just gushing over how much weight I'd lost. So, of course, that makes me feel really good. And yeah, it was really nice. She got a lot of really nice things. She looked really beautiful. And just, it was taco themed. My daughter loves tacos, but she also loves pickles. Like, she is obsessed over pickles. Like, seriously, she can eat a whole jar of pickles in one sitting. And in fact, at her wedding reception, the centerpieces for the tables are going to be pickle jar, empty. Of course, she's eaten all of them. Pickle jars with these little fairy lights and then the flowers coming out of them. It's like, if you know her, that's totally on theme with her, for sure. But they had a little game, like, if you are drawing a raffle, like if you bring her a jar of pickles, then your name goes into this raffle, this drawing. And so that was kind of cute. So she brought home ton more pickles. Fortunately, her fiance is now living in the apartment that they're going to be sharing, and so the pickles went there. So that we don't have to store a ton of pickles here, which is really nice because we've been having pickles in our house for so long. That girl, can't believe it. But I didn't know any one person could eat that many pickles. Anyway, so I did, if you've been around kind of watching me for a while, you know that in February I had kind of a really big drop in weight. And it's been kind of stabilizing and very slow this month. But one thing I did notice is that, and this is really common with a sudden, drop in weight, is I have been losing hair like crazy. And, comment below with whatever suggestions, but I'm trying to eat more. I'm concerned that maybe I'm not eating enough, or it could just be that I had this sudden drop in weight. I also want to I have my red light lamp. I heard that doing red light therapy on your scalp can help stimulate hair growth. But I'm looking at the wedding, which is coming up on May 3rd. I'm like, I don't want to be, I just really, like my hair is so thin up here, and my ponytail, when I do a ponytail, is like tiny. I have lost weight, not weight. I've lost hair. Yes, I have lost weight, but I've lost hair within the last month. And I see it coming off when I take a shower. So anyway, so one of my goals is to get the hair to grow back. My goodness. So I don't know. And if it doesn't for some reason, I don't know, maybe I need to get some extensions or something going on up here, because I just am so self-conscious for pictures. And these are pictures that they're going to keep forever. So anyways, I'm happy that my body is shrinking, but not happy that my hair is falling out. I'm assuming it's going to be temporary, and we'll be able to fix this. Still rebounding like crazy. I posted a rebounding little short the other day, and there's like thousands of views. For me, it was a lot, but I know some people, the things go totally viral. This is not the case with my video, but it was really funny because the caption under it said pee first, then bounce, because I bounced and then all of a sudden I had to go to the bathroom because it jiggled my bladder. It's amazing. You put something about pee or poop on a YouTube short, and of course it attracts a lot of attention. We're all very juvenile, aren't we? Anyways, also I had an appointment with my naturopathic doctor this past week, and he's ordered a whole bunch of lab tests. And so I'm going to have some kind of like an update on labs. And he did order the fractionated LDL, so we could see the breakdown of my LDL, which is good. We've ordered, quite a few other things that we haven't ordered before. We're going to check my ferritin levels. We're going to check my folate levels. So there's a bunch of things. And so when I get the results back, we'll report back on those. So he also mentioned he's concerned that I may not be eating enough. And what he wants me to do to check, and this is kind of a little new to me, it's in the naturopathic world, I guess, is he wants me to check, and checking blood sugar is not new. Okay, he wants me to check my blood sugar before I eat. And then he wants me to check and not do a postprandial check, which is 2 hours, but he between 1 and 2 hours, he wants me to check it again after I eat, because he said that he wants to see that the blood sugar is getting within a normal range. He's assuming that it's going to be low when I first check it. When not low, like dangerously. He means if it's below 80, and technically normal is like 70, but he said if it's below 80 before I eat, he wants it to jump into the range of between 90 and 140 at that 1 hour point. So like somewhere between 1 and 2 hours after I eat. And he says he doesn't want it above 140, but somewhere between 90 and 140 is fine. And he wants me to do that for just a little bit and track. And he said if I am not seeing that jump in the blood sugar, his opinion is it means I'm not eating enough. So however much I hate pricking my finger, which I've done before, I mean, I do it to patients all the time, but it's a different doing it with yourself. It's like, yeah. But anyways, I've said, okay, I'll do it. I was thought of doing the, continuous glucose monitor. I know they're kind of expensive. And so, I mean, if you have any ones that are reasonable, let me know. I wouldn't mind doing that instead. But in the meantime, I'm fine with checking my blood sugar. So I haven't done it yet. I will be doing that, and I'll obviously let you guys know when figure out what the results are of that. Yeah, I think that's it as far as what's going on. Yeah, it's been a good week. I mean, my mood is great. I mean, I'm not fatigued. My energy levels are great. I'm still taking my iodine supplement, the iodoral 25 milligrams a day, taking vitamin D. And I'm wondering if I need to get some K2. And because I was reading a little bit with mast cell disease, one of the chemical mediators that is released by mast cells when they degranulate is heparin. And then tryptase also can have a little bit of like an it affects the clotting cascade. And like heparin, if you're familiar with heparin, a lot of people will get it in the hospital if they've got blood clots. But heparin is a blood thinner. And our body naturally releases heparin and, creates heparin and releases it. And it's part of our, prevents clots in our body and is a blood thinner, basically. But with mast cell activation syndrome, if there's a lot of mast cell degranulation, the heparin can get a little bit high, and there could be some issues with bleeding. Now, I have been seeing a little bit of issues, and every once in a while I have a little bit of an issue with a tiny bit of blood-tinged mucus when I go to the bathroom, number 2. And so I've been seeing that lately a little bit, but it could also be because of my really upset stomach that I got after I ate that omelet at the Dallas airport, and then found out from you guys that IHOP puts pancake batter in their omelet, in the eggs. I should have, shame on me, well, not shame, but I should have read the menu carefully, but I didn't. I'm in an airport, I'm lugging around my carry-on luggage, trying to figure out what I want to eat. My biggest concern with this darn omelet was not making sure that they didn't put hash browns in it, making sure that they didn't include any sides, that they knew all I want is the eggs and the meat in the omelet. And so I was so focused on that, I didn't even read. I didn't even think that, like, why on earth would you put pancake batter in an omelet? And apparently, supposedly it's to make it more fluffy. It wasn't even that fluffy. It wasn't even that great of an omelet. I've had much fluffier omelets, and I don't think they had pancake batter in them. I know putting water, a little bit of water in with your eggs and then whipping it up will make it more frothy and more fluffy. So that tends to be what I do. If I don't put some heavy cream, but even if I do, I'll still put a little bit of water in with my eggs. That's just a trick that I learned a long time ago. I figured, oh, well, if they're fluffy, they must have put a little bit of water in them and beat them well. I don't know. But anyways, ever since then, I've been seeing a little bit of the blood-tinged mucus, and I hadn't really seen any since the last time when I went out to dinner, and I think maybe the steak might have been really aged, and it didn't sit well at all, and I tend to have a histamine response in my gut, and back then I was seeing some blood-tinged mucus as well. So I don't know if it's because my body's not happy. I end up with more mast cell degranulation and therefore more heparin. Anyways, I know this is getting sciencey, and I tend to do that. But anyways, that is something that I am really looking at as far as, wanting to see, do I need to add a K2 supplement, and see if that will help with that aspect. But anyways, all right, so that's it for all of that stuff. And let's go ahead and take a look at the results from this week. So this morning I weighed in at 257.8. And so that is down 1.2 pounds from last week. And I'm really glad that I'm not seeing these 4, 5, 6 pound weight drops anymore. I mean, I kind of liked it at the time because it was like, oh, cool, but the hair loss, I'm not thrilled with. So anyways, yeah, I'm happy. 1.2 pounds. My fat-free body weight went up by 0.4. So that means my actual fat loss for the past week was 1.8 pounds, which is still really good. I mean, just under 2 pounds. And I'm happy with that. Anywhere between a pound and 2 pounds, I'm very happy. To me, that's kind of a healthy rate of weight loss. This week, there was no change in my muscle mass or my bone mass. So all of that was fluid, going up a little bit. So, it might be a little bit of gut inflammation, hard to say. So in total since the beginning, May 31st of 23, the scale is down 81.8 pounds. And my fat-free body weight has gone up. So the good tissue is up 25.6 pounds. And based on some of the difference at the beginning, that is no fluid at all. So my fluid fluctuates from week to week. And this week, yes, it went up. But overall, it's 0. So I had 24 pounds of muscle gain, a pound at 1.6 pounds of bone gain. So that's the entire 25.6 pounds of good tissue that I've gained since the beginning. And so my actual fat loss since the very beginning is 107.4 pounds. So I'm thrilled. Could not be happier. Now, one thing I haven't done before that I wanted to do this week is, we look at my metabolic age. I'm always talking about how, oh my goodness, my metabolic age is driving me crazy because it is not budging. And so I wanted to kind of show you some of the output I get from my body composition scale. And I'll put a link to the scale in my description in case you want to check it out. It's very reasonably priced. And I have found over time that the trends are very good. Whether it's going to be the same as if I do a professional body composition test, doesn't really matter. It's the trends. Are they consistent? And they have been. They've been very consistent. So I feel like I can rely on the trends. But my weight, and I go into my app on my phone and I can tap on any of the metrics and it'll give me this little scale. So my weight started out in the obesity range. Now, it doesn't differentiate on the scale between morbid obesity versus just obesity, but morbid obesity. I am still, even after I've lost 100 pounds, 100 and some pounds, still in the category of morbidly obese. It's going to take a little while for me to get out of that category. But I started at 339.6 pounds. And you can see I was pretty far over on that obesity scale. And now even at 157.8, I've nudged over, but I'm still in the red. Now, the metabolic age for my scale looks at all of these factors that are out of the normal range and says, and factors that in. And so my BMI, kind of the same thing. It barely looks like it budged on the scale. I started out at 51.5 and I'm at 39.1 now. And it looks like it barely budged. So I'm not even in. I have to get down to 30 for my BMI before I'm even in the overweight category. So I've got a ways to go. My body fat percentage was, I don't know. I look at this and I'm going, I think it was kind of off the charts. I don't even know if this red section goes that high because it's the very top of the red section. It was 71.1% of my body was fat. Now it's at 52%. Still in the red zone. I need to get down to 32% before I'm even in the acceptable range. So again, I still have a long way to go with the body fat percentage. My visceral fat is in the excessive range. It started out at 30, it's down to 20, but you can see like it barely budged on this scale. If I want it to be just high, it needs to get to 15. So again, I have a long ways to go before I'm even in the acceptable range with visceral fat. I've got like 11 more pounds of visceral fat to lose before I'm even in the acceptable range. My bone mass is one of the good things. I started out below average with my bone mass. And again, when I started this, I was 55. I started in May. My birthday's in April. So I was 55. I am still 55. My birthday's April 11th, so it's coming up in a few weeks, and then I'll be 56. But I'm curious to see how my scale, if it reflects my birth date, if it makes me now 63 instead of 62, it may. I'm not happy about that, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, but my bone mass started at 5.8 pounds, which was below average. It was really below average, not even just a little bit close to average. It was really below average. And look at it now. It's at 7.4 pounds. I'm edging pretty far into, I mean, it's not still at the low end of average, but it's not barely in there. It's actually well into average, which I'm so happy about. That makes me thrilled. So lastly, I want to look at the metabolic rate. My metabolic rate started out below average. It was 1,331 pounds, and not pounds. I think it's calories. This is in an inactive state, basically at rest. This is the minimum amount of energy needed in order to fuel my body functions, my organ, my brain, all of the metabolic functions of the body in a rested state. Obviously, it's going to be more if you're very active and you're putting your body through the stress of working out or lifting weights. So this is just an arrested state. But notice that in order to get into a more acceptable range, my metabolic rate back when at the beginning, when I was really heavy, would have needed to get to 2,203. As my metabolic rate has gone up, the acceptable has gone down, which is interesting. So right now it's at 1,582, and I only need to get to 1,826. So I'm assuming as every time I lose weight, every time my health improves and these metrics are improving, BMI and all this other stuff are improving, my metabolic need goes down, because I think the metabolic need is based on your weight, and my weight is going down, so my metabolic need is going down. So it shouldn't be too long before the metabolic rate gets into the normal range. So anyways, I just wanted to show you guys that. I know I haven't shown this before, and I wanted to show you because I know I do get a lot of questions about, or comments about, kind of encouraging me about that metabolic age being 62. And sometimes questions about like, why? Like, you don't look 62. In fact, a lot of people say I'm looking younger. I mean, younger than 55. And, my skin, my rosacea is looking really well, lots better. I still have a little bit, right here, but otherwise it's looking really good. And so it's like, why does my scale still say that I'm 62? This is why. I still have so much out of my normal range, out of the normal range that I should be in. And, I look at the weight loss and I see the progress. But if I really take an objective look, I have a lot more weight to lose. And I've mentioned before in other videos, but it's been a while, that I have body dysmorphia. And it's not like people who are too thin and they think they're fat. I have body dysmorphia on the other end, where I see myself as thinner than I am. And that for years I gave myself permission to be liberal with what I ate. And my weight just kept blossoming and blossoming and blossoming. And of course, it's not until you see a picture or you catch a glimpse of yourself in a mirror or a window when you're out, walking around stores, that all of a sudden it's like, who is that? Oh, that's me. And it's difficult because I know a lot of people who talk about body dysmorphia, they think it's just by people who think they're too fat and they're actually thin. But there is the other side of the spectrum, and I'm definitely on the other side of that spectrum. So I can look at myself, and yes, I look so much better, and think, ooh, I'm thin now. No, I am not thin. I am still in the morbidly obese category. And I know that these guidelines, they're pretty strict. So it's not like I'm stuck on the numbers that they tell me I should be. But I can grab a lot of belly fat. I still have a lot of fat on my thighs. I've got fat on my arms. I have a ton of weight to lose. So I'm learning to be realistic about that metabolic age and understand that this is a long journey I'm on. I'm not going to get metabolically healthy overnight. It took, but the last time I was a healthy weight, I was like 20 years old. It's been 35 years of abusing my body with all sorts of garbage food, messing up my metabolism. As a child, growing up on margarine, corn oil, vegetable oil, canola oil. Actually, I don't know if my mom used canola oil, but she used the regular vegetable oil, which is probably the same. She used corn oil. Growing up on canned vegetables, lots of potatoes, not very nutrient rich. Even with salads, my mother only used iceberg lettuce. My mom was not a very creative cook. She put a lot of love into her cooking, and she fed us very consistently and small portions because she grew up in the Depression. So we had very small portions, and so that's why I think I was really a normal weight all my childhood. But the long-term exposure to seed oils through the margarine and through the other oils, I didn't have a ton of sugar, but I think it was probably the seed oils that were probably the worst for me growing up. And then, of course, once I went off to college, oh my goodness, it was just crazy the way I ate. It was horrible. And from that point on, as an adult, my eating just went downhill, and I was eating out of emotion and eating to cope with anxiety and eating to cope with depression and eating just to cope with the stressors of life. And then I was having cravings. I'd go and I'd kind of binge and eat. I never purged, but I'd binge on sugar stuff, like lots of sugar. And, I did that every once in a while. And then I did less binging as I got older, but I would regularly have desserts. I mean, I'd go out, Dave and I would get in an argument or something, or there'd be something stressful at home, and I would go out and I'd go through a drive-through and I'd get ice cream. I'd get a Blizzard. I'd get a McFlurry at McDonald's. I'd get a milkshake at Burger King, get a burger with it or chicken fingers or whatever. Horribly unhealthy. And I would do that very frequently, or I'd go to Safeway and I'd get a single serving of their birthday cake, which I loved, and it was always a big, huge serving, and I'd eat the whole thing. My eating habits were really terrible, and I ate very little meat. I probably couldn't be classified as a vegetarian, and I definitely didn't like, eat. I ate a lot of, I would be like a dirty vegetarian most days. I would have meat every once in a while, but most days I was probably a dirty vegetarian. And that was just the way I ate. So anyways, I'm learning to be realistic about this metabolic age and show myself some grace and realize that it's going to take time to reverse all the damage that I did to my body. One quick thing. I am doing a trial off of one of my MCAS medications. It's been, I think, 4 days now. Well, since my naturopathic doctor visit. So far, it's hard to say. I may be noticing my throat swelling just a tad, but I'm still evaluating it. I'm not really sure. It was one of a medication that had a dual function. It was a mast cell stabilizer and antihistamine. So if I notice that I'm having more issues with some throat swelling, and it hasn't been severe throat swelling, it's been very minor. I'm going to see. I'm going to give it a little bit of time because I am still kind of coming off of the trip where I had some more higher histamine foods. I'm going to give it some time and see if that settles down. And it might just be that I don't have everything out of my system yet from my trip. Anyways, I'll keep you guys posted, see how I do. I would love to come off of my medications. And, sorry, I know this is going on long, but I'm remembering things. So also, my naturopathic doctor is fine with me going off of my thyroid medication. He's going to check my thyroid, and I'm going to stay on it until he checks my thyroid. But then he said, as soon as I get my blood drawn, I can stop my thyroid medication because there was a concern in my mind and a question in my mind back when I was put on the thyroid medication. The doctor said I had subclinical thyroid hypothyroidism based on symptoms. My labs were within normal range, but based on symptoms, she said I had subclinical hypothyroidism. And I know that the lab ranges you don't necessarily rely on, and there are people who legitimately do have subclinical hypothyroidism. But at the time, we didn't know that I had mast cell activation syndrome. And there's a ton of crossover in how you feel with hypothyroidism versus MCAS. And so I asked him, like, is there a chance like that I just never really was hypothyroid, that it was just my mast cell activation syndrome? And so he said, well, when you went on the thyroid medication, did it make you feel better? No. So he said, let's do a trial off of it. So I'm going to go off of it once I get my labs drawn, and then he's going to retest in a few months and see how I'm doing. And he's an approval of me taking the iodine. So I hadn't told him. Of course, I'm this rogue patient. I just start taking it, and then I tell him afterwards. I do what he tells me, but sometimes I do things that he doesn't tell me to do. But anyways, I research it all out first, so I don't think I'm being dangerous with myself. But anyways, he's always very supportive. I'm very thankful. But anyways, this video is now like 30 minutes. Anyways, it's probably going to be more than that by the time I do maybe add some clips from the week. But anyways, I'm going to cut it short. I'm babbling on and on. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And just, do the carnivore diet. Take care of your health. I'm going now with my daughter. She's got her wedding dress is all altered and done. So we're going to go pick it up in just a little bit. So if this video comes out a little bit later today, that's why. Catch my live stream tonight with Coach Rose. She's got an amazing story, wonderful, and she is just a joy. So I'd love to introduce all of you. She's got a small channel to her, and she's so encouraging and she's so uplifting. So anyways, catch that tonight, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.